Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, and I have a rather probably going to end up being extensive breakdown video to share with you guys today, because I just got finished watching the PlayStation 5 reveal, and these are just my immediate thoughts. I didn't feel like doing an in-the-moment reaction video or streaming any of that. I just want to take like maybe a few minutes to kind of gather my thoughts, even though the reveal just ended like maybe less than 5 minutes ago, and I just grabbed my camera, set it up, press the clicker, start, and here we are. I'm just giving you my initial thoughts off the top of my head about this reveal. I will say this. It was not perfect, and they missed maybe one key element that I think a lot of us were expecting. I think some people might be disappointed, but I don't know if they, by the time I get this up, if they will have released this information, but I will say this. This reveal was a bit overwhelming, and in a good way, because they put a massive focus on the games. I didn't expect they would reveal as many games or show off as many. They ended up showing over 20 plus games, including the console itself. I did not expect that. As far as I can recall, I don't recall any sort of PlayStation press conference in which they showed that much content just strictly on the game. So I'm giving Sony major kudos for that. It has always been about the games. They've recognized that. They have stuck to that since the very beginning, and I'm glad to say it very much was continued here. Now, I did happen to list pretty much everything they revealed, so I'm just going to go down the list, just give you my just quick thoughts on it. And there were definitely some surprises. There's certainly a number of games I'm not interested in, but I will say this. The only really down part about this whole reveal is the fact that they did not give us a release date, and they did not give us a price. They did show us the console, which I'm showing you here. They are having two different versions, one that is a classic disc version, and one that is a purely digital version. Now, me, of course, I'm an old school guy. I'm obviously going to get the disc version. I don't really like all digital consoles. I know some people think that that is probably going to be the direction that gaming will eventually be going down, but as it stands right now, for the next generation, I am sticking to disc, so that is what I'm getting. But we don't have a price. And I did openly say that, to me, this is not a day one buy. And I stand by that. This is not a day one buy. I probably will not be picking this up day one. And I probably would not pay $500 for it. But I think that's probably what the price will end up being. I think it'll be like $500 or $600, which is nuts. But when you take into account that there are still some brand new PlayStation 4s that are still going for $400, to have the next generation console be brought down to that exact same price, unless they do like a major price drop for the PlayStation 4s all around. As much as I would love to get the PlayStation 5 at like $400, which I think is like the perfect price, I kind of see them pushing it to $500. And maybe one of the versions being a little bit more. So because of that, that is not a day one buy. That might not even be a first year buy, because despite all of the content that I've seen, we didn't really get exact release dates, but we did get release windows. So just go down the list of games that they revealed. They first show off that Grand Theft Auto 5 was coming to PlayStation 5. I'm surprised we're still talking about this game, because I think this game is like 4 or 5 years old. I may be wrong. I mean... So, okay, Grand Theft Auto. Then they showed off Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I do not think that this... Now, from this point on, if there's any information that I get wrong, please correct me in the comments. But I don't believe that this is Spider-Man 2. I may be wrong. I mean, they did say that this is coming to PlayStation 5, so it might be Spider-Man 2. They didn't call it Spider-Man 2. They just called it Spider-Man Miles Morales. But it didn't really look any better than... Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, it really didn't look any different. I may be wrong. Maybe I give it a second go, but it does in fact go in the direction that I did think that the next Spider-Man would go in terms of playing as Miles Morales. I'm speculating that we will still be able to play as Peter Parker. I hope they haven't gone the route of the Spider-Verse in which Peter Parker got killed and Miles Morales is taking over from him. I would really prefer for them to fight together. I don't know if this is Spider-Man 2. It might be, but I'm just saying I kind of would have wished if they had clarified that. Next, they showed off Gran Turismo 7. Never been a Gran Turismo fan, so that's probably the first game in the lineup that I absolutely will not be getting or trying out. However, they then showed off Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Holy shit, this is a console seller. I will buy a console for this game. I mean, I'm currently in the middle of streaming Ratchet and Clank for the PlayStation 4, which is still, in my opinion, a top 10 best game, PlayStation exclusive that ever came out on this console. So the fact that they've revealed it, they showed some gameplay, they gave us a little bit of information on the story that they're going with. This is my console. This is my console system seller. I will get a PlayStation 5 to get this game without question. I don't know if it's coming out next year. Some of the games that I definitively do want to play, I'm hoping will come out in at least, I'd say, 2022, which by that time, regardless of whether they do a price drop or not, I will eventually will get a PlayStation 5 guaranteed. But man, does this game look, wow. Now I definitely do see a difference between PlayStation 4 Ratchet and Clank and PlayStation 5. Trust me, PlayStation 4 Ratchet and Clank still looks incredible, but this one was, I definitely can see the jump here in terms of its overall visual design and performance. I definitely can see it. Then they went into this game called, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but Project, like Atia or something like that. It's like ATHA, and you know, it's from a Square, and I believe it's from Square, and it looked interesting. I mean, it looks like a pretty solid, a visually impressive, adventure game, which PlayStation has always been good at. But yeah, this is definitely a game I certainly will be interested in playing. So there was that, and then they shut off this cinematic for a game called Stray, which was basically like, I guess you're playing as a cat that's living in the world that's pretty much populated by robots. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting. And then the next game they showed off is a game called Returnal, which pretty much has the same premise as Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise, in which your character dies and they have to relive the same day over and over again. So I think that'll be an interesting concept to see how they work with that in terms of its gameplay approach. Then they showed off something that I was not expecting. When I saw this character, I thought that we were going to get another installment, but that wasn't the case. And apparently, I thought we were going to get another Little Big Planet, but it ends up just being another side game called Sackboy: A Big Adventure. So basically, they're taking, the main character of a Little Big Planet and giving him his own straightforward action adventure game. And it looks like it's going to be at least maybe 2 or 4 player co-op. Definitely something I will want to play with my friends. Then we had this kind of car destruction derby game called Destruction All-Star. I mean, visually it looks okay, but it's probably not something I'm going to play. And then by the half-hour mark, they showed us this game called Kenya Bridge of the Spirits. Another game that I absolutely would want to give a try. Then they showed this animated game called Goodbye Volcano High, probably a game I'm probably not even going to try. And then they showed off the return of Oddworld's Soulstorm. Wow, I never thought I would see Oddworld again. That is such an old franchise. I haven't played an Oddworld since I was like a kid. But it was definitely an entertaining game back then, so heck, to get a chance to play it now was like, wow. I mean, visually it looks just incredible, especially on the PlayStation 5. I mean, my God. And then we finally got our first gameplay of Ghostwire Tokyo. This was a game I do believe they did kind of mention not too long ago, so to see some actually gameplay. This looks fun. Then they showed us a game called Jet the Far Shores. It for some reason, visually, it kind of reminded me of Flower. I don't know why, but I will say this. The one thing that I've noticed with the main approach to a lot of these PlayStation games is, instead of using its visual and like console power in order to create games that are like trying to be photorealistic, I've noticed that a lot of these games seem to have like some sort of artistic style to them, and I think that's very, very good. Your games don't have to necessarily be photorealistic in order to be very impressive, and I think a lot of these games are going to go for that approach, and this is probably the best out of all of those games that I saw that will be going in that approach. It looks like it will not only be a beautiful game to look at, but a great game to play. And then we got some gameplay for Godfall. This was announced. This was revealed to us at last year's Game Awards. This was like the first game that they revealed was going to come for PlayStation 5. I believe it's an exclusive, so looks fun. Then they showed us a game called Solar Ash. Again, another game, you know, I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I want to try it, but heck, maybe I'll give it a try. Then they showed off Hitman 3. Not a Hitman fan. I think I tried playing one Hitman game. I think I played it for like a couple hours and got bored of it, and I've never gone back to the Hitman's franchise since. Then they showed us a game called Astro Playroom. Now, this is probably another play on the Astro characters that came a part of I believe like every PlayStation 4. I think every PlayStation 4 has like that playroom that you use your camera for, and you play those little characters you can interact with. So now they're actually getting like the straight up game. Then they had another game called Little Devil Inside. Yeah, no, looks okay. And then they showed us NBA 2K21. Not a 2K fan, so I will definitely be avoiding this. And then they showed us this really weird game called Bugsnax. I'm sure some kids will have fun with this, but this does not look something for me. And then they showed off a pretty cool cinematic for Demon Souls. So I know there's some people that are a big fan of that, but this is probably something I personally am not going to be interested in. And then they showed us some gameplay and some reveal of a game called Deathloop, which is kind of similar to Returnal in the sense that you play as a character who dies and you have to keep repeating it. However, it's in first person, and it again has like a somewhat artistic style to it. So I thought that was very, very interesting, very, very cool. And then they showed off Resident Evil 8. I did not play Resident Evil 7 and refuse to acknowledge it as a Resident Evil game, despite what anybody thinks. And this is another game, like, okay, it is clear that there are two different paths that Capcom wants to take their franchise. It's like, okay, the games that are numerical, that are farther ahead, they want to take them into a very weird kind of direction that looks nothing like Resident Evil. From what I saw, there was absolutely nothing about what I saw from this reveal trailer that even hinted at Resident Evil until the very end, where apparently you see Chris Redfield and now he's the bad guy. I'm guessing. I don't know. And then when you look at, you know, other game, the second direction of Resident Evil games, they're going to go for like, you know, classic third-person shooter. I mean, apparently they're going to start remaking Resident Evil 4. So, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. I mean, I would prefer that they would do a remake to Code Veronica first before tackling 4. But I'll tell you this much: I know what path I'm going in terms of Resident Evil games that I will be playing. In this direction that they're going with Resident Evil 7 and 8, I have no interest in that path whatsoever. And then they showed us a game called Pragmata. Very cool looking game. And then perhaps the highlight in terms of all the games that they revealed for me was definitely Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West. I really hope this is not a first-year release. There was no doubt in my mind we were going to get a second Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn is probably going to be one of the next definitive PlayStation exclusive franchise moving forward. I mean, they just retired Uncharted, and I absolutely do believe Horizon Zero Dawn is a game that can actually fill in that spot. I don't think we need to see any more Uncharted games because I'm sure Naughty Dog is going to be working on something else. But I definitely do believe that at least for probably this generation and possibly the next generation, whenever the PlayStation 6 reviews, I think we will still have Horizon games. Aloy is probably one of my all-time favorite protagonists. I love the first game. I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. I do hope it is, again, I hope this is not a first-year release. I hope it comes out in at least 2022, just to kind of give those first wave of games, you know, so we can get the kinks out, and then we can then really see what this console is about. And then by the end, they did show us the console. Looks fine to me. A lot of people do not like the mixture of the black and white. I personally always thought it looked very, very sleek. The console looks sleek. The controller looks sleek. I liked how they kind of went into detail in terms of what this console can do in terms of its specs and what the controller can actually do. This is going to be an extremely powerful console. Very, very impressive. Again, I do not think this is a first day buy for me in terms of its price. I really wish that they had at least established what the price of this console was going to be. But it's probably going to come out sometime in November or early December. I'm really happy to at least get a chance to try it out because I know I have a couple of ways I'll be able to at least play the PlayStation 5. There's certain places I can go, but in terms of actually owning one myself, I will probably wait until probably the second year, or unless they do some sort of crazy price drop. But overall, this PlayStation 5 reveal was definitely not what I was expecting. It overall was a great show. I think that, heck, moving forward, if they don't want to do any of these press conferences and spend all this money, I would be perfectly fine if moving forward, this is the style they do in order to do their reveals. If they want to do this direction, I'm perfectly fine with that. So those are just my overall initial thoughts on everything they revealed. I would like to know, what were your thoughts on the entire reveal? Were you disappointed that we didn't get an official release and price? What game are you most excited to play? What games are you not interested in playing? Share your thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And if you happen to like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and press the subscribe button so you can see this and more content. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.